How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. I'm sure many of you have forgotten about Deron Williams and wondering what the heck happened to him. Well, he's still only 34 years old, a couple months older than LeBron James, but hasn't played in the NBA for almost 2 years. Will likely never play in the NBA again. 10 years ago, D. Will was one of the most electrifying players in the league and will sadly be one of the most forgotten All-Stars this decade. Here's how Deron Williams' NBA career collapsed. Selected 3rd overall in the 2005 NBA draft by the Utah Jazz after leading Illinois to the championship game, finished his rookie season with averages of 10.8 points, 4.5 assists in 80 games, starting 47 of them. Williams put the league on notice his second season, quickly emerged as one of the best point guards at 22 years old, averaged 16.2 points, 9.3 assists, second to only Steve Nash, with his team starting 12-1 overall, the best in franchise history through 13 games, recorded a career-high 21 assists on January 24th in a game against Memphis, finished 3rd for most improved player as one of the promising rising stars. The Jazz ended up as the 5th seed, winning 51 games in 07, ended the franchise's 3-year playoff drought, had a daunting task in the first round against Tracy McGrady's Rockets, dropped the first 2 games, but D. Will responded in Game 4 with 25, dropped 20 points, 14 assists in Game 7 on the road, heavily outplayed Rockets point guard Rafer Alston, faced the very hot 8-seeded Warriors team in the semis who upsetted Dallas in the first round, gave Golden State a taste of their own medicine. D. Will played like a veteran, dropped 31-8 in Game 1, getting the best of Baron Davis in a 116-112 win. As the driving force for the team, D. Will made everybody better. Carlos Boozer averaged 24 and 14 rebounds against Golden State. Mehmet Okur put up 17 and 10. Andrei Kirilenko 16 and 9. Considered the biggest surprise of 2007, nobody expected Williams and the Jazz to reach the conference finals, something Chris Paul didn't do until 2018. Of course, Utah didn't have much of a chance against San Antonio, but vintage D. Will showed up, finished with 34 points, 9 dimes in Game 1, 31 points, 8 assists, 5 steals in Game 3, went on to average 25.8 points for the series, losing to the eventual champs in 5. Williams was one of the most unique point guards in the league at the time, having the ability to score in a multitude of ways and facilitate, often gets 10 plus assists a game, had one of the sickest crossovers, put up 18.8 points, 10.5 assists in 07-08, the same exact number Steve Nash had when he won his second MVP in 06, was arguably snubbed in the All-Star game since the West had guys like Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, and Chris Paul. He did win the skills challenge though, was the leader of the Jazz franchise, leading the team to 54 wins, knocked off Houston in 6 games, only to lose to Kobe Bryant's Lakers in a very competitive 6-game series, but Williams put up 22.3 points, 11.5 assists. In his 4th season, Williams missed 13 of the first 15 games due to an ankle sprain in preseason. Boozer and Kirilenko were also plagued by injuries. Despite averaging 19.2 points and 10 assists through All-Star break, D. Will was once again snubbed from the All-Star game, responded by scoring 30 plus points in 5 straight games before the break. On March 1st of 09, Williams became the second active player behind Steve Nash to reach 420 plus assist games for his career, despite winning 48 games, with Boozer missing 45 of them. Because of the loaded West, Utah had to face the first-seeded 65-win Laker team, only won Game 3 thanks to D. Will's clutch game-winning jumper with 2.2 seconds left, but Kobe Bryant was just too good. At the time, the D. Will vs. Chris Paul debates were getting heated. While Paul missed the playoffs in 2010, Williams was named Western Conference Player of the Week in mid-December of 09, made the All-Star team for the first time in his 5th season. Utah still had the same guys, had another stellar season, winning 53 games, put up nearly 26 points, over 11 dimes in a 6-game first-round series win over the Nuggets. Even became the first player in NBA history to record at least 20 points, 10 assists in 5 straight games in a playoff series, but unfortunately ran into Kobe's Lakers again for the 3rd straight postseason, was swept in the semis. Viewed as the more durable point guard, combined with his strength, CP3 was hampered by injuries. While Williams had more playoff success, many experts would have taken D. Will over Chris Paul. Things were looking good for the 26-year-old point guard. About to enter the prime of his career, the Jazz franchise took a twisting turn. Carlos Boozer left in free agency to the Bulls to take more money. Williams complained about the lack of talent around him and broke several play calls by head coach Jerry Sloan. His arrogance got the best of him, even yelled at rookie Gordon Hayward on the court. After a February 9th loss to the Bulls, a game Williams decided to call his own plays and carelessly turned the ball over. Him and Sloan got into it. Sloan, recognized as one of the best coaches, spent 26 seasons with the Jazz. In his 23rd season as head coach, he had enough of Williams' negative attitude. The very next day, Jerry Sloan shockingly resigned, an ugly breakout that would affect Williams' career forever. Utah shocked the world by trading him to the Nets a couple weeks later for a package centered around rookie Derek Favors. Former Utah physician Lyles Mason told Laura Thompson of the Salt City Hoops that Deron was the opposite of John Stockton, could not handle the coach calling any plays. He wanted to call every play, and that was part of what really drove them apart. During his first full season on a horrible Nets team, Williams put up 21 a game, 8.7 assists, even had a 57-point game with Gerald Wallace as the second best player. Later signed a 5-year, $98 million deal to stay with the Nets. An awful mistake for the franchise, looked upon as the face of the team. Negative signs started to signal when Williams was out of shape before aggravating an ankle injury in the Olympics of 2012. According to USA Basketball president Jerry Colangelo, was rumored to be around 220 pounds, 10 to 15 over his ideal weight. The first year of his max contract, the Nets moved to Brooklyn, where Williams struggled to handle the pressure in the big city. Had an up and down season in 2013, already looked like he was slowing down at 28 years old, led his team to 49 wins as the 4th seed, lost to the Bulls in the first round in 7 games without Derrick Rose. D. Will was outplayed by Joakim Noah in Game 7, who just wanted it more. With loads of pressure to win, the Nets took all the risk after giving up many future first-round picks for Garnett and Pierce in summer 2013. Brooklyn was viewed as title contenders, a testament to whether Williams had what it took. Was bothered by an ankle and wrist injuries in 2012 and 13. D. Will endured plenty of pain, missed at least 14 games every season for the rest of his career. After knocking off Toronto in 7 games, Williams was absolutely pathetic in the semis against Miami. Went 0 of 9 from the field in Game 2, scored 0 points. Kobe Bryant said Williams psyched himself out of that game. Kobe said, "I would go 0 of 30 before going 0 of 9. And angry and frustrated Williams responded, "If I'm 0 of effing 9, I'm not shooting 20 more shots. I'm a point guard. I'm going to find somebody else. I got my mentality. It works for me." Brooklyn eventually lost to Miami in 5 games. Williams averaged an awful 11.2 points, only 6.2 assists on under 37% shooting for the series. Pierce left for the Wizards the season after. Had plenty to say about D. Will's lack of leadership. Looked at Deron as an MVP candidate before coming to Brooklyn, but that's not what he wanted to be. He just didn't want that, and the pressure was just too high to overcome from Utah to New York, and the guy's attitude there wasn't great, didn't want to play in practice. While Pierce and Garnett, both accomplished future Hall of Famers, way past their primes, had to pick the team up every day in practice. Williams would never be the same, averaged 13 points, 6.6 assists in 2015, would no longer be considered a top 5 or even a top 10 point guard at the time. At times, backup Jarrett Jack played better than D. Will, and head coach Lionel Hollins even decided to bench Williams. His 38-win Nets team made the postseason in 2015, and Williams was awful in Game 2 and Game 3, scored a combined 5 total points in 2 games on a combined 2 of 15 shooting, left us one lasting memory with a vintage 35-point performance in Game 4, looked like Utah D. Will, before stinking again in Game 5, scoring 5 points, losing to Atlanta in 6. After realizing how bad Williams got, the Nets waived him, received a buyout from the final 2 seasons of his contract, blamed the franchise for the insane amount of coaching changes in his 4.5 seasons with the Nets, and Avery Johnson, PJ Carlesimo, Jason Kidd, and Lionel Hollins. Had too many excuses on his injuries, lack of confidence, criticized Avery Johnson's system, saying Coach Loans was way better. The truth of the matter was, D. Will was in fact way more effective as a system player, where Sloan made him the facilitator before looking for his own shot. With guys like Carlos Boozer on the pick and roll, ran it to perfection, but Williams had none of that in New Jersey, was forced to be the #1 scoring option where he's not a 25-point scorer. Was picked up by his hometown Mavs team right after, averaged 14.6 assists. The following season, the 32-year-old Williams resigned with Dallas, showing glimpses of greatness but was way too inconsistent, was on minutes restrictions, waived on February before being picked up by the defending champion Cleveland Cavaliers. Leading to the downfall of his career, decided to choose number 31 since it was his first high school number and all the single-digit numbers he wanted was taken. Of course, many viewed it as a diss to the Warriors, who blew a 3-1 lead the season before, looked at as an effective effective point guard behind Kyrie Irving. Williams was an absolute atrocity in the 2017 finals, was completely useless, couldn't buy a basket, played as bad as anyone who's ever played in the NBA finals, appeared to have lost all his confidence in his game, went a combined 2 of 16 shooting, averaged an abysmal 1 point a game, 1 point, had as many total turnovers as points. Someone even made a low-light mixtape of how bad D. Will was in the finals. The sad truth about that, those finals games were likely the last moments of Deron Williams' NBA career. He hasn't played a single game since. At 32 years old, he was already washed up. With his negative attitude towards Jerry Sloan, 7.5 years since the incident, Deron apologized to Coach Sloan in 2018. He admitted his stubbornness and nerves are the reason why he never reached out. At the end of the day, there were a lot of things D. Will could have done differently for the better of his career. If he would have taken care of his body better, dealing with the crazy New York media took a serious toll on him, from his embarrassing finals performance in 2017. For the player who many consider once upon a time a top 2 point guard in the league and what seemed to be a promising Hall of Fame career, it's safe to say Deron Williams will never play another game in the NBA again. Having one of the saddest and most disappointing endings for any All-Star player this decade, at least he's still collecting the paychecks from his buyouts from Brooklyn until 2020, making over $5.4 million on the year. At the end of the day, you live and you learn. After Deron Williams collects his final paycheck from the NBA, I fully expect him to announce his retirement within the next 2 years. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do you guys think Deron Williams will be a future Hall of Famer? Let me know in the comments below. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more great stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.